Report, The State of the European Union in 2025. Prepared from an internal EU perspective, candid, urgent, and grounded in current realities. Executive Summary. The European Union in 2025 stands at a historic crossroads. What was once a project of peace, prosperity, and ever closer union is now a fragile, incomplete political entity under simultaneous external assault and internal decay. The return of Donald Trump to the White House, Russia's war on Ukraine, rising far-right nationalism, economic stagnation, and a crisis of public trust have converged into a perfect storm. For the first time since its founding, the disintegration of the EU is a realistic scenario, not through sudden collapse, but through creeping irrelevance, institutional paralysis, and loss of citizen legitimacy. Core crises. 1. The end of the transatlantic guarantee. The United States under Trump no longer sees the EU as a partner, but as a rival and economic threat. Trump openly sidelines Brussels, deals bilaterally with nationalist leaders, Orbán, Meloni, and undermines NATO. The United States is pushing for a unilateral peace deal on Ukraine that excludes Europe, risking a frozen conflict that leaves Russia entrenched and Europe exposed. Defense dependency is now a vulnerability, not a strength. 2. Institutional paralysis. The EU remains legally powerful, but politically impotent. Unanimity rules allow one member, Hungary, to block aid to Ukraine, migration reform, or foreign policy. No real fiscal, defense, or border union exists, only a regulatory shell. As Joseph Janning notes, the EU has remained a torso that lacks essential instruments for preserving the welfare and security of the peoples of Europe. 3. Erosion of social cohesion. Anti-immigrant riots in Ballymena, Larne, Dover, and vigilante actions in the Netherlands reveal deep societal fractures. Far-right parties, AfD, RN, Fidesz, frame the EU as an elitist force eroding national identity. Trust is broken, and as you rightly said, like glass once broken, it will never be the same. Citizens support more EU defense, 80% per Eurobarometer, but not at the cost of welfare, climate, or sovereignty. 4. Strategic weakness in a hostile world. The EU failed to deliver 1 million artillery shells to Ukraine on time. Energy, tech, and critical supply chains remain dependent on the United States, South Korea, or vulnerable to Chinese leverage. No common migration, border, or foreign policy, despite existential threats on every frontier. East, Russia's militarized aggression. South, instability in Sahel, Middle East, North Africa. West, United States abandonment. North, Baltic Sea sabotage, undersea cable cuts. 5. Economic stagnation and strategic drift. The EU is falling behind in artificial intelligence, chips, clean tech, and productivity, per Draghai report. Chinese overcapacity floods EU markets. United States protectionism threatens trade war. Climate and digital transitions are stalled by budget constraints and political fatigue. Enlargement to Ukraine, Moldova, Western Balkans is politically promised, but financially and institutionally unprepared. The illusion of unity. The EU's greatest danger is self-deception. Ceremonial rhetoric, ever closer union, masks strategic drift. Crisis management replaces long-term vision. Technocratic regulation substitutes for democratic legitimacy. Meanwhile, coalitions are collapsing. Franco-German engine is idle. Visegrad and Baltic states pull in different directions. The United Kingdom is re-engaging, but only on hard power, not EU integration. As the EPC Outlook paper admits, Europe is increasingly absent in the global battle of narratives, clinging to what should be rather than what is. IV paths forward if there is still time. Option 1. managed disintegration. EU becomes a multi-speed, multi-tier entity. Core group France, Germany, Benelux, Poland, Baltics integrates on defense, capital markets, borders. Outer ring, Hungary, Bulgaria, etc. remains in single market but opts out of political union. Coalitions of the willing bypass unanimity, e.g., Joint EU-UK Defence Procurement, Baltic Security Pact. Option 2, Emergency Reboot. Germany finally leads, drops red lines, embraces variable geometry, invests in defence and tech. EU declares wartime footing, repurposes cohesion funds for defence, fast-tracks Ukraine accession, enacts majority voting in foreign policy. Rebuilds trust through delivery, protect borders, deliver weapons, secure energy, integrate refugees humanely. Option 3, quiet fade. Muddling through continues. Far-right gains in 2025 elections, Germany, Romania, Poland. Trump forces EU into bilateral submission or strategic irrelevance. EU survives legally, but ceases to matter geopolitically. Conclusion, a union without a soul. The EU in 2025 is not failing because of external enemies. It is failing because it never became a true political union. It built a single market without a demos, regulation without enforcement, and values without power. As the EPC starkly concludes, the EU beyond 2025 will look, and must look, very different from today's. The choice is no longer between more Europe or less Europe, but between a functional core that acts or a hollow shell that watches history pass it by. If Europe does not rewire mentally and rearm politically in 2025, it will not collapse, but it will cede its future to Washington, Beijing, and Moscow. Prepared in the spirit of the EPC's call for brutal honesty without defeatism. February 2025.